His music made even the most discerning crowds in Las Vegas rise to their feet in thunderous applause. The media once said, "Tom Jones brought Vegas to its knees." But there were also moments when Tom Jones left the world in stunned silence because of his scandals. With that legendary voice, fiery stage presence, and hundreds of secret affairs, he became the embodiment of wild passion wrapped in a gentleman's suit. At one point, Tom Jones admitted to sleeping with more than 250 women a year, even while still married in name. But don't let the polished image on stage fool you. Behind the Rolls-Royce and his multi-million-dollar mansion in Bel Air was a tangled personal life, a child born out of wedlock, a near-death scare in Mexico, and the emotional collapse after losing the woman he'd loved since they were teenagers. Now, at 84, he's still touring, still singing, still living like a legend. But what was the real cost of all that glory, and what dark moments nearly brought Tom Jones to his knees? Watch this video to uncover the rarely told truths behind the dazzling yet complicated life of a living icon. If you enjoy videos like this, please give us a thumbs up. It helps more than you know, and feel free to share your thoughts in the comments below. At just 12 years old, Tom Jones stopped going to school. He couldn't run, couldn't play. Tuberculosis had confined him to bed for nearly 2 years, as if life had slammed shut before it even began. But in that darkness, within 4 silent walls, something no one expected took place. His voice became the very thing that pulled him back from despair. Thomas John Woodward, known to the world as Tom Jones, was born on June 7, 1940 in Tree Forest, a small working-class town in South Wales. His father was a coal miner, working deep underground in long, narrow tunnels. His mother, Frida, was a modest homemaker who firmly believed that music could ease even the hardest days. She was the first to introduce Tom to classical tunes and old church hymns. Tom's early years were marked by material hardship, but they were rich in love. In their humble home, with few modern comforts, the young boy would sit by the window and listen to the radio, soaking in the voices of Elvis Presley, Little Richard, and Mahalia Jackson. But those tender childhood days came to a halt when, at age 12, he was diagnosed with tuberculosis. The illness forced him into isolation for nearly 2 years, robbing him of school and the simple joys of youth. Unable to move or learn like other children, Tom turned to music as an escape. He listened intently, memorizing every lyric, every phrasing. Though he struggled with dyslexia and couldn't read well, he absorbed everything by ear. Singing became the only language he truly felt at home in, and during those long, motionless days, a deep, natural musical instinct began to form, quiet and steady, like the coal buried beneath his hometown. As his health slowly returned, Tom left school early and took on a string of manual jobs to help support the family. Yet music never left his side. He began singing at local events, from weddings and pubs to village fairs, building a reputation for a voice that felt far too powerful for someone his age. One night, a single unplanned note in a pub brought the entire room to a standstill. In that moment, Tom realized something profound. His voice could change the course of a life. No one back then could have imagined that the sickly boy once confined to bed would someday light up the stages of Las Vegas, live in multi-million-dollar estates, and drive a Rolls-Royce down Hollywood Boulevard. But for Tom, it all began with a dream, small, quiet, and unwavering. Can a single night in a small pub change the course of a man's life? For Tom Jones, it was a turning point he never saw coming. After leaving school as a teenager, Tom Jones didn't pursue academics or follow the traditional path to success. He chose the stage, even if it meant singing in cramped, noisy pubs with peeling paint and shaky lighting. In the late 1950s, Tom was the lead singer of a local band called Tommy Scott and the Senators, performing in bars and clubs across South Wales. Industry insiders may have overlooked him, but every time he opened his mouth to sing, the audience couldn't look away. Around that same time, Tom became a father at just 16. He worked in a glove factory by day, struggling to support his young wife, Linda Trenchard, and their baby boy. His life was a relentless loop of hard labor and sleepless nights. And yet, through it all, Tom held tight to one belief: his voice would one day take him somewhere far beyond the valleys of Wales. That moment came in 1964. During a modest gig in London, Tom caught the attention of Gordon Mills, a young, ambitious manager with an eye for talent. Mills saw something extraordinary in Tom and gave him a new stage name, Tom Jones, inspired by the bold and passionate hero of a classic English novel. Soon after, Mills secured Tom's first recording contract with Decca Records. Just 1 year later, everything changed. The release of It's Not Unusual became an instant sensation. It shot to #1 in the UK and broke into the top 10 on the US Billboard charts. With his powerful, full-bodied voice and electrifying stage presence, Tom Jones became the new face of British pop soul in the 1960s. Hits like What's New Pussycat and Thunderball, the theme for the James Bond film, carried his name around the world. In less than 2 years, the factory worker who once sang for change in a pub was headlining in Las Vegas. Performing before legends like Elvis Presley and Frank Sinatra, his rise was fast, fierce, and impossible to ignore, like a thunderous ballad crashing through every barrier of class and expectation. From a bedridden boy fighting tuberculosis to a man whose voice could stop the world in its tracks, Tom didn't just live an extraordinary life, he wrote every note of it himself. When you've conquered the world, how do you choose to live? For Tom Jones, it meant multi-million-dollar estates and a fleet of luxury cars. At the height of his career, Tom Jones wasn't just a legendary voice, he was a global phenomenon, with more than 100 million records sold and iconic hits like Delilah, Green Green Grass of Home, and She's a Lady. He cemented his place in popular music for over half a century. In 1966, he won the Grammy for Best New Artist, followed by 2 Brit Awards and a knighthood from Queen Elizabeth in 2006, a recognition that honored not just his talent, but his lasting influence. With a net worth estimated at around $300 million, Tom Jones didn't just build a musical legacy, he created a personal empire. He lived among opulent homes, drove prestigious vehicles, and yet maintained a humble, grounded presence. Because when you look at where someone chooses to live, you don't just see their wealth, you see the chapters of their life. In 1976, as his career soared, Tom purchased the former Bel Air mansion of Dean Martin, joining a neighborhood graced by legends like Frank Sinatra and Elizabeth Taylor. Perched on a private hillside, the home spanned nearly 8,000 square feet, surrounded by palm trees, white fences, and a classic pool lined with white-covered lounge chairs. Inside, it blended Italian elegance with mid-century California charm, soaring ceilings, large sliding glass doors opening to a quiet garden, and a marble fireplace in the heart of the living room. From the balcony, Tom could watch the Los Angeles sunset, a view once unimaginable for a coal miner's son. He bought the home for $500,000 and later sold it to Nicolas Cage for $6,400,000. But its true worth wasn't in the number, it was in the songs he once wrote and rehearsed in that quiet space. In the mid-1980s, Tom opted for something bolder, a mansion in Hollywood Hills, where every detail reflected his unorthodox personality. The house was unlike any other celebrity home. Its entire interior followed a wildcat theme, from sofas and carpets to walls and bedding. A controversial design statement in the interior world, but a bold reflection of the fire, wildness, and strength Tom embodied both on stage and off. It included a private studio where he demoed many tracks before performing them in Vegas. After Linda, his wife, passed away in 2016, Tom found the house too heavy with memories and sold it for $12,800,000, not for the money, but to give his heart a quieter space. After that turning point, Tom returned to England and settled into a high-end apartment in central London. The building itself wasn't flashy, but inside, everything was elegant: pale beige walls, light oak flooring, thick velvet curtains, a classic built-in fireplace, and a small balcony looking out over an English-style garden. In the white stone kitchen, he still prepares his morning tea, a habit he's never broken. The apartment is near West End theaters and not far from iconic studios where he occasionally records or meets with younger artists. No castles, no pools, just a warm corner to live with music. If music is the voice of the soul, then cars are its lifestyle extension. For Tom Jones, Every car he's owned tells a personal story, never flashy for the sake of it, but always refined, powerful, and full of motion. Rolls-Royce Silver Shadow, a symbol of arrival in the 1970s. As Tom became a cultural figure beyond music, he chose a Rolls-Royce Silver Shadow, one of the most luxurious sedans of its time, with glossy black paint and cream leather interiors. It was a quiet statement from an artist who came from hardship but understood dignity. It wasn't just transportation, it was a mobile sanctuary where he'd sit after shows, loosen his tie, and listen to his own recordings. The car was worth around $50,000 then, but its real value was in the feeling when Tom first gripped the wheel and thought, "I made it." Jaguar E-Type, the fire of youth in the 1980s. As his music became more expressive, Tom's lifestyle followed suit. He purchased a Jaguar E-Type, the classic sports car Enzo Ferrari once called the most beautiful car ever made. With its long hood, fierce engine, and signature roar, the Jaguar reflected Tom's presence on stage, bold, instinctive, and refined. It was his solo car, no chauffeur, no audience, just wind and unspoken lyrics. Today, the car is worth more than $100,000. But for Tom, it holds a piece of youth he never wished to leave behind. Bentley Continental GT, the gentleman's ride. Entering middle age and taking on the image of a balladeer in Vegas, Tom opted for a Bentley Continental GT. Powerful, luxurious, yet discreet. The coupe embodied the mature Tom Jones, no longer proving anything, just enjoying the ride. Starting at $200,000, with walnut interiors and a premium sound system. It was the car he drove to London studios or industry meetings. Ferrari, California. Freedom in motion. Few expected Tom Jones, the classic suit-and-tie gentleman, to choose a Ferrari California, but he did, because sometimes he needed to cruise the coast at dusk, silver hair blowing in the wind. No longer Sir Tom Jones, just a man who loved freedom. The Ferrari cost around $250,000, but what it offered was priceless. It wasn't for showing off, it was for living, a choice he made for himself, far from public scrutiny. From rural Welsh bus seats to the leather interiors of Rolls-Royce and open-top Ferraris, Tom carried his music everywhere in every mile, every quiet road after a show. He's performed on hundreds of stages, from the glamour of Las Vegas to the historic Royal Albert Hall, but when the lights go down, Tom returns to a lifestyle rooted in old-school gentleman values, private, measured, and meaningful. At 84, he still wakes early, brews a cup of black tea, Earl Grey or English breakfast, and opens the morning paper. It's the one quiet moment he calls a time with no music but full of melody. He doesn't chase trendy restaurants or gourmet menus. His favorite meal remains traditional British steak and kidney pie, with mashed potatoes and peas, comfort food from his Welsh childhood. While touring, his private chef often prepares it just right, as a way to stay grounded amid global stages. In fashion, Tom is always sharp, since the 1970s. He's had suits tailored by British names like Jeeves and Hawks and Huntsman, from high collars and velvet jackets to modern slim-fit suits. The constant has been elegance and respect for his audience. No surprise he's admired by younger generations for his enduring style. Despite his $300 million fortune, Tom avoids Hollywood excess. No private yachts, no wild parties. He invests in what lasts: music, heritage homes, private retreats, and quiet charity. When asked what he'd change if he could be 30 again, he once smiled and said, "I'd sleep more, and maybe sing one less song each night, just to listen more closely to the applause." He lives the way he sings, not rushed, not chasing the spotlight. Every detail of his daily life, from his simple meals to tailored suits, reflects taste, depth, and memory. Among millions of fans, thousands of shows, and decades of world tours, Tom Jones never forgot the one person who stood by him from the start: Linda Trenchard, his high school sweetheart and the only woman he ever married. They married in 1957 when Tom was just 16 and Linda was pregnant with their son, Mark. While others were still dreaming, they stepped into real-life bills, pressure, and an uncertain future. But Linda was the one who encouraged him to pursue music, who quietly cared for the family so Tom could give everything to his career. Their marriage faced storms, especially as fame led to temptation and many affairs. But Linda stayed. They didn't divorce. They didn't appear together often, but their bond never broke. When Linda died of lung cancer in 2016, Tom withdrew from the spotlight, sold his Los Angeles mansion, and returned to Britain to honor the promise he made to her to go back to where they began. Their son, Mark Woodward, never became a singer but has remained deeply involved in his father's career. For years, he's been Tom's personal manager, handling tours, contracts, and TV deals, a family link that stayed strong in a fast-changing industry. Even as a global icon, Tom never saw himself as a star to those who mattered most. He still calls his grandkids on holidays, keeps Linda's photo in his wallet, and speaks to his son in a steady, simple tone, more like a Welsh father than a knight of the realm. Behind the Rolls-Royce, the Bel Air mansion, and the Las Vegas stage, one thing about Tom Jones has never changed: family, and maybe that's why after going so far he never lost himself. Even the brightest stars face dark times. How did Tom Jones navigate his scandals? Over a career spanning more than 6 decades, Tom Jones rarely got tangled in professional controversies, but his personal life, like that of many celebrities, couldn't escape the storms. The most prominent were the decades-long rumors of romantic flings during his peak in the 1960s and 70s. Tom admitted to having hundreds of brief relationships each year despite being married to Linda since 1957. In one interview, he was candid: "I'm not proud of it, but I'm not hiding it either." His name was linked to several high-profile figures, from Mary Wilson of the Supremes to former Miss World Marjorie Wallace, and even actress Cassandra Peterson, known for her Elvira role. The press spun each story with flair, but what stood out to fans was the enduring bond between Tom and Linda, who never spoke publicly about it but never left his side. In 1987, Tom faced a lawsuit from model Catherine Berkery, who claimed he fathered her child, after initially denying it. A DNA test confirmed that her son, Jonathan, was indeed his. The matter was settled legally, with Tom taking financial responsibility but not building a father-son relationship with Jonathan. It was a noticeable blemish on his public image, especially for fans who admired his approachable, family man persona. But perhaps the deepest challenge in Tom Jones's life wasn't a scandal, it was personal loss. Once, while vacationing in Mexico, he was swept out to sea by a powerful wave, abrush with death. He later shared that in that moment, he thought of his music, of Linda, and knew he wasn't ready to go. After that, he grew more spiritual, not tied to any religion, but often speaking of a higher power and a wake-up call. When Linda passed away from cancer in 2016, it wasn't just an emotional blow, it was a profound moment of stillness for him. Tom sold their Los Angeles mansion, turned down numerous performance offers, and returned to London, where he and Linda had started their journey. In a later interview, he said, "I've lived for my audience for years. Now, I want to live on for Linda." Tom doesn't deny his past. He doesn't try to erase his mistakes. Instead, he faces them and moves forward with a calm that only time and experience can forge. Can mistakes overshadow a brilliant career, or is it how someone overcomes those mistakes that truly defines them? What makes someone a legend for Tom Jones? It's not just the voice, it's the heart. Tom Jones isn't just a singer from a bygone era, he's a timeless icon. Over a career spanning more than 60 years, he's continually reinvented himself, connecting with audiences across generations, from those who first heard Delilah on vinyl to younger fans who discovered him through The Voice UK. That's a feat few artists can claim. With a soulful voice seasoned by life's ups and downs, Tom doesn't rely on gimmicks. He steps onto the stage with just a microphone and eyes full of emotion, and the entire room falls silent, captivated. At 84 years old, he's still performing regularly, still touring, like his recent Ages and Stages tour in 2024, where he shared not only his music but the story of his life with fans. His influence goes beyond music. Tom paved the way for artists from Wales, a place once considered a backwater on the UK's music map. He proved that where you come from doesn't matter, all it takes is passion and a voice strong enough to break through prejudice. Tom's also deeply committed to giving back. He's supported Nordhoff Robbins, an organization that uses music to help children with disabilities. He's worked with the Prince's Trust and the Brit School, creating opportunities for young artists to hone their talents in professional settings, opportunities he himself lacked when starting out. Looking back on his life, Tom has never called himself a legend, but his resilience, his integrity in music, and his deep love for family and fans have made him an unforgettable part of countless lives across generations. He once sang, "Love is in the air," but for Tom Jones, that love isn't just a fleeting feeling, it's love for music, for his late wife Linda, for his audience, and for life itself, no matter how tough it's been. From a frail boy in a coal mining town to a gentleman commanding the world's stages, Tom Jones shows us you don't have to be perfect, you just have to be honest, passionate, and never give up. What do you think of Tom Jones's journey? Does anything in his story remind you of your own? Share your thoughts in the comments below, and don't forget to subscribe to join us in exploring more extraordinary lives.